Adam and Danielle Busby, who live outside, respond to criticism regarding their quintuplets move. For Adam and Danielle Busby, living in the spotlight has never been easy. They bore the special distinction of being parents to the only set of all-female quintuplets in the United States from the time America first met them on Outdaughtered. From the restless evenings of caring for a newborn to the well-organized chaos of raising 6 daughters in one home, cameras tracked their journey. Admiration accompanied that visibility, but scrutiny as well. Every choice, parental approach, and individual decision became up for debate. Therefore, when the Busses recently made the decision to relocate, they had to deal with a barrage of public criticism in addition to the emotional and logistical difficulties of moving. The relocation was more than just a house transfer for Adam and Danielle. It was about meeting the changing demands of their quintuplets, Ava, Olivia, Hazel, Riley, and Parker, and their daughters, Blake, the oldest. Viewers no longer adore the girls as the little toddlers they once did. They are developing into young people with distinct wants, personalities, and areas to call their own. As the family grew into different stages of life, a home that had been enough for babies and small children lost its feeling of coziness and practicality. However, fans who were passionately committed in the relocation had a different perspective. Many people vented their dissatisfaction or disappointment on social media. Some people are accusing the family of either ignoring one's roots or pursuing luxury. The criticism hurt Adam and Danielle because it called into doubt their intentions as parents, not because they were afraid of being rejected. A straightforward truth was at the core of their justification. They were doing what was best for their kids. Danielle has been open about the experience, admitting that moving was a necessity rather than an indulgence. Even though it was full with memories, their old house had started to feel the strain of continuous activity. The quintuplets needed room to explore, develop, and experience their uniqueness in addition to sleeping. Even Blake, the eldest sister, required a space where she could establish her independence without being overpowered by the 5 younger siblings' boundless energy. In their choice, Adam too underlined the significance of mental and emotional health. Those who have followed their journey are aware that he has been candid about his battles with mental illness. For him, the atmosphere at home has a vital part in efficiently supporting his family, finding tranquility, and managing stress. A crowded or disorganized home may increase stress. It might be lessened in an area created with their requirements in mind. Public comments persisted despite the sincere justification. Some admirers asked if their perceptions had altered as a result of the family's prominence on reality TV. Some claimed that the action was a break from the modest origins that initially made the Busbys approachable. The critiques are frequently swiftly written into internet platforms, ignoring the more profound background of family development. Danielle answered clearly and without defensiveness, stating that life is dynamic. As their children grew up, the house that had once brought them delight was no longer able to give them what they deserved. Additionally, there was the issue of privacy and safety. Because of the family's prominence, their house has periodically drawn unwanted attention. Even with the best of intentions, fans occasionally crossed lines. A bigger, safer house provided an opportunity to safeguard, protecting their girls from harm while letting them experience childhood. Danielle emphasized that even if their lives are widely public, their daughters are still children and should be shielded from unwanted interference. However, the criticism sparked debate about the implications of sharing one's life on TV. By providing viewers with an unvarnished look into the highs and lows of parenthood, the Busbys have always aimed to be open and honest. However, there are expenses associated with transparency. Supporters become devoted not only to the family, but also to their surroundings, the familiar house that provided the setting for innumerable episodes. Viewers occasionally feel as though their own sense of ease has been disturbed when that background shifts. In turn, the Busbys have to strike a balance between being genuine and setting limits, disclosing just enough to be relatable while preserving the parts of life that need to be kept private. Adam and Danielle addressed the controversy by reminding supporters of their core value: family first. The show and the opinions of strangers are not taken into consideration while making decisions, but to ensure their daughter's welfare. Their aim is always on establishing a caring atmosphere, whether that means arranging for Hazel's eye condition appointments, managing household routines, or making room for each child's developing personality. In that situation, the move was an act of caring rather than indulgence. This explanation struck a chord with a lot of people. Being a parent is a universal adaptation process. Routines change, children outgrow their clothing, and houses that were once crowded with. The flow of family life might no longer accommodate laughter. The Busbys' decision to relocate was merely a manifestation of that universal reality, heightened by the magnitude of their particular family dynamic. Adam conceded, however, that they must deal with criticism from the public. They also decided to expose themselves to both favorable and negative criticism by deciding to discuss their trip on television. He has frequently noted that although viewers witness edited episodes, everyday life is much more complicated. Plenty of choices that might never be caught on camera. One such choice is moving, which has its roots in pragmatic considerations that are imperceptible to those outside but profoundly felt by individuals residing there. The dispute, in many respects, told us more about contemporary celebrity society than it did about the Busses. Families like the Busses are frequently viewed by fans as representations of steadiness, reliability, or aspirational life. Any change upsets that narrative, particularly one as obvious as moving. However, for Adam and Danielle, being genuine means accepting change, especially if it comes with criticism. Although they acknowledge that their popularity has sustained them over the years, they also understand that parenting from the inside out is more important than acting from the outside in. Discussions concerning how society views large families, particularly those in the spotlight, were also spurred by the response. It takes money, preparation, and ongoing adjustment to raise 6 daughters. However, when those modifications entail tangible changes, such as a new residence, onlookers might perceive through a prism of jealousy or doubt. Despite being in the spotlight, Danielle has frequently stressed that their lives is not flawless. Fans are unaware of the long nights, difficult choices, and sacrifices that go into the carefully chosen pictures and happy episodes. She clarified that the relocation was one of those costs, leaving behind memories, comfort, and familiarity, in return for their daughter's most pressing needs. Adam and Danielle reminded supporters of the journey they had all seen together as they responded to the criticism. The audience witnessed the quintuplets' first unsteady steps, toddlerhood's difficulties, school's milestones, and the delights of a collective birthday celebration. Every step required fresh reactions, fresh ideas, and occasionally fresh settings. The relocation was a step forward into the next phase of parenting 6 kids under one roof, not a conclusion to that adventure. The emotional toll of leaving their former home was genuine for Danielle. It was the location where she had held babies, calmed sobs, and rejoiced. Initial remarks. There, the family created an identity that would inspire millions of people, and laughter echoed through the hallways. However, a fondness for a home does not negate the necessity of moving on. The process, according to Danielle, was bittersweet. They were thankful for the chances that lay ahead while lamenting what they were leaving behind. Adam agreed with that. He saw the move as a symbol of resilience, the capacity to welcome change in the face of uncertainty, fear, or criticism. He pointed out that parenthood is not about holding on to the past, but about getting ready for what lies ahead. And it was a step worth taking if that future called for new walls, new areas, and new habits. Online discussions could still be influenced by the controversy. For the Busbys, however, life goes on at its own pace. The 1,000 little things that comprise family life include bedtime stories, soccer matches, school runs, and more. Old or new, the house is only the backdrop. The love and dedication that fill it are what really count. Additionally, in that regard, Adam and Danielle remain steadfast. The significance of taking care of their daughters cannot be overshadowed by any amount of criticism. Despite being extremely personal, the move sparked a wider discussion about how families in the public eye are perceived, not only about the Busbys. Danielle and Adam were aware that change breeds conjecture. However, they were unable to foresee the ferocity with which some followers analyzed their motivations. The conversation intensified, ranging from arguments over the size of their new house to rumors about money and reality TV deals, than the straightforward reality of their choice. The event made Danielle realize how little the outside world actually comprehends the day-to-day challenges of raising quintuplets. Every one of her girls is different, with their own personalities, struggles, and abilities. Parker is considerate and sensitive, and he frequently needs assurance. Riley is fearless, confident, and willing to push limits. Hazel has continuous eye health requirements that need for regular observation. The twins on the set, Ava and Olivia, have a unique bond, although they also yearn for alone time. The picture becomes evident when you consider the demands of their older sister, Blake, who deserves room to grow as a preteen. A growing home is necessary for a growing family. Danielle frequently characterizes parenthood as striking a balance between uniqueness and community. Though 6 very distinct girls are beginning to define themselves at home, the quintuplets are a unit in the public's mind. This procedure necessitates physical space, distinct rooms, peaceful nooks, and locations where every child can withdraw to find her own passions. Even though it was full of affection, their old home could no longer offer those kinds of chances. In his own words, Adam discussed his duty to provide his daughters with mental and physical protection. He is well aware of the stress of constantly being watched by cameras and fans' expectations. He feels more and more obligated to protect his girls from unwarranted judgment as they get older. Resetting borders was made possible by moving, resulting in a more secure, private setting where the girls could just be kids instead of reality TV stars. Even though the criticism was occasionally harsh, it provided Adam and Danielle with an opportunity to restate their principles. They reminded supporters that their ultimate aim had never been celebrity. When the show first started, its goal was to tell the amazing tale of the first all-girl quintuplets to arrive in America. It developed into a story of resiliency, family faith, and fatherhood over time. However, Outdoor was never really about glitz. It was about the lovely, messy, and draining task of child-rearing. That mission did not change with a move. However, in addition to online strangers, longtime followers who felt a personal connection occasionally offered criticism. Some contended that by abandoning a home that felt normal, the Busbys ran the risk of becoming less relatable. Danielle, however, spoke directly to this. Square footage has nothing to do with relatability. According to her, relatability stems from being honest about the difficult times, the clumsy mornings, the tears, and the interspersed laughing. The core of their tale is the same whether they live in a big house or a small one. Adam and Danielle were also compelled to consider how much their family had changed since the beginning of the movie. The objective was survival back then. Sleepless nights, diaper changes, and feeding schedules. A battlefield of bottles, cribs, and mayhem was their house. The quintuplets are now of school age. They have opinions, friendships, hobbies, and homework to bring home. What they require is measured in calm places to read, space to play sports, and room to practice instruments, rather than just in formula ounces or nap time. The home of a family must change as its children do. And the Busbys' choice was only the most recent development in that process. Danielle saw leaving their former house as a way to celebrate the future, rather than to throw away memories. She talked about taking a final stroll around the deserted rooms, recalling the locations of each infant cot, the celebrations of first birthdays, and Hazel's, where Parker had clung to her for solace. Laughter resounded. There were tears, but there was also a deep sense of thankfulness. They had found stability in that house during a period of survival. In order to provide stability during a period of expansion, they now required a new residence. Adam, who is always realistic, informed the audience that being a father involves many changes. Families transition from one chapter to the next, much like kids go from crawling to walking and preschool to elementary school. Change is never easy, he said. However, he underlined how important it is. He contended that he would be denying his children the greatest upbringing possible if he opposed change for the sake of appearances. Fans also started talking about financial responsibility as a result of the decision. Families on reality television frequently deal with rumors about their income from outsiders who are quick to analyze and criticize. Danielle underlined, however, that money had nothing to do with their choice. They continue to weigh expenses, live within budgets, and make sacrifices. A bigger house comes with greater obligations, but if it means providing for their girls, those responsibilities are worthwhile. Point. The involvement of the community and extended family was one element that was frequently disregarded in the critique. Despite their fame, the Busses mainly depend on their church connections, neighbors, and family for assistance. Their family culture includes keeping space for grandparents and relatives to visit, hosting parties, and allowing sleepovers. Despite being cozy, their old house had become too small for such times. Danielle clarified that they can carry on with those customs at the new house without having to worry about crowding. The dispute also highlighted the disparities in public perceptions of fatherhood and motherhood. Danielle frequently takes the brunt of criticism, acting as though she is the only one who can make decisions. Adam, however, has always taken the initiative to share accountability. He has talked candidly about fatherhood's demands, mental health, and the significance of collaboration in a marriage. He said that neither Danielle nor he made the choice to move. It was theirs, formed by innumerable late-night discussions, thoughtful preparation, and prayers. It's interesting to note that there was a surge of support even while headlines were dominated by opposition. Parents themselves were among the many fans who offered empathy. They shared their personal stories of relocating to better serve their children in their encouraging letters. Every parent makes sacrifices that are hidden from outsiders, according to some. Renting a bigger apartment, relocating to a better school district, or modifying timetables are all ways to establish consistency. The Busbys were no different in that regard. Just a family going about its business. Adam and Danielle decided to concentrate on those voices, finding support in other parents' understanding. They are aware that there will always be criticism, but they are also aware that there are many families that silently support them because they realize that perseverance, not perfection, is what parenthood is all about. In their remarks to the public, the Busbys also stress their appreciation for the community that has followed their journey, their network, and their followers. They admitted that they would not have been able to handle the unique difficulties of raising quintuplets without both material and emotional support. They claimed that the decision was made as much for their family as for the fans. Without being constrained by a venue that no longer works for them, it enabled them to carry on expressing their narrative in a genuine manner. Authenticity continues to be Danielle's fulcrum. She's stated again and over again that she wants to convey a genuine life, not one that is perfect. Errors, backlash, and criticism are all part of real life. However, it also encompasses resilience, happiness, and growth. Although she faced criticism from the public, moving allowed her a chance to reaffirm her dedication to honesty. Adam agreed, pointing out that their relationship with viewers was forged via openness. People were drawn to them because they had universal characteristics rather than because they lived in a specific home. Encounters. The commotion of family meals, the strain of juggling work and childcare, the excitement of birthdays, and the anxiety of health issues. These moments are not limited by walls or floor designs. The Busbys stayed firm as part 2 of their story played out. Their new house represented development, adaptation, and their unwavering love for their daughters rather than prosperity or a shift in personality. They made the decision to proceed despite criticism because being a parent requires bravery. And for Adam and Danielle, having bravery means paying attention to the silent demands of 6 developing daughters, rather than the cacophony of the crowd. Adam and Danielle Busby weren't just defending a choice when they publicly discussed the criticism of their decision. They were outlining a parenting philosophy that has served as their compass from the start. Their concept is based on love, faith, and flexibility. One must take a step back and consider their trip in its whole to comprehend why the transfer was so significant to them. It has always involved striking a balance between unique situations and typical parental difficulties. The Busbys realized their lives would never be typical in the conventional sense from the first moments of welcoming quintuplets. There is no manual for raising 6 daughters at once, 5 of whom are the same age. Every developmental stage has been enlarged, every significant event multiplied, and every difficulty has been repeated 5 times. From the beginning, their house was both a center of unrelenting activity and a stronghold of love. On paper, what appeared to be a spacious area soon turned into a labyrinth of high chairs, strollers, cribs, and toys. The house that shielded them started to feel like it was closing in on them as the years went by. It was frequently referred to as a conundrum by Danielle. Although their former house was full of happy memories, it had also shrunk into a container that was too tiny for the life that was developing there. There wasn't much space for individualism in bedrooms where several girls shared. Family dinners extended the space, and playtime spilled into the hallways. Kitchen to its limit, making it almost hard for Adam and Danielle to have quiet time. But just the highlight reel was shown to the general public. Clean family dinners, birthday celebrations, and sweet sisterly moments, recorded via cameras. The arguments between siblings over space, the late evenings spent juggling homework, or the tears of a parent overtaken by the chaos and commotion of an overly tiny home were not always visible to spectators. Thus, after the transfer was made public, the presumption. Many people believed it to be a luxury enhancement rather than a need. Danielle clearly addressed this misunderstanding. She clarified that relocating was not an impulsive or pointless choice. It took years to develop and was the outcome of innumerable discussions, strategies, and prayers. Her decision to relocate was based more on the actual benefits of the larger home than on its appearance. Tranquility, space for development, and the capacity to keep bringing their daughters up with elegance and care. Adam offered his viewpoint, reminding admirers that a major theme in his narrative has been mental wellness. He has been candid about his battles with anxiety and depression, courageously revealing vulnerable moments in the aim of assisting others. For him, mental stability and the home environment are inextricably linked. While a well-designed room might foster tranquility, an overcrowded home can rapidly become a stressor. Adam felt that by relocating, he would be able to completely fulfill his role as the father his girls required in addition to safeguarding his personal health. Adam and Danielle used the incident as a chance to consider what it means to be in the spotlight. For them, fame was never pursued. It began with their family's unique situation and expanded as the globe became engrossed in their tale. Fame brought possibilities, support, blessings, and the ability to motivate others, but it also brought with it the weight of ongoing criticism. The criticism of their actions served as a reminder that every decision they make will be evaluated by millions of people, not just their own family. Strangers. The Busbys, however, resisted allowing criticism to define them. Danielle frequently stresses that her girls, not the general public, are her real audience. She gauges her accomplishment by the smiles of 6 girls who are aware of their affection, not by likes or comments. She is grounded in public judgment moments by that viewpoint. Although her girls only view their new home as a place to sleep, play, and dream, she is aware that although fans may argue over its symbolic meaning, the choice to relocate also touched on more general, parenting-related topics in contemporary culture. No matter how famous they are, many families have to make similar decisions about whether to relocate for safer neighborhoods, better schools, or more room for their developing children. Seldom are these choices devoid of bias. Friends, family, and even complete strangers may condemn the break with tradition, wonder why actions are being taken, or see them as status-seeking. On a bigger scale, the Busbys' experience just intensified that global conflict. The relocation also had a spiritual component for Danielle. She has said frequently about relying on faith when things are unclear. She saw the move as an act of trust as well as a practical decision, believing that, despite the opinions of others, God was guiding their family into a new era. She found comfort in her faith, which reminded her that following her convictions was more important than getting the acceptance of others. Faith gave Adam strength as well. He explained the action as an act of stewardship, protecting the gifts bestowed upon them by establishing a setting in which their girls, those blessings, may flourish. For him, a house is a place of safety, development, and love rather than just walls and flooring. Change is not only warranted but also necessary if that vessel must alter in order to fulfill its intended function. Although difficult, the criticism also exposed a significant aspect of the Busbys' relationship with their fans. It demonstrated how much, sometimes too much, people care about their stories. Fans who have been watching them for years feel a sense of belonging. The trip. Although this investment may lead to miscommunications, it also demonstrates how honestly Adam and Danielle have shared their life. If people didn't already feel connected, they wouldn't care enough to critique. The sound of criticism has gradually subsided as the actual realities of relocating to a new residence have taken its place. The girls are excited about the shift and aren't worried by internet gossip. They decorate their areas, carve, and explore their new chambers. Out areas for play and leisure. Blake in particular has valued the opportunity to assume her identity as a young adolescent with autonomy and solitude. More than debate, the move is a symbol of adventure for the quintuplets. Danielle enjoys seeing her girls flourish in their new surroundings. She sees kids laid out on the floor, playing outside without worrying about crowding, inviting friends over without the stress of a small place, and doing their homework without running into each other. These insignificant instances serve as evidence to her that it was the proper choice. Adam also notices the change. He talks about a more relaxed atmosphere, a home where there is more laughter and less stress. Even if the transfer was difficult to execute, it has given him newfound security and hope. He is able to concentrate less on the annoyances of a small house and more on spending time with his girls. Ultimately, their family's love and stability have endured as the criticism has diminished. The Busbys are aware that criticism may reappear in different ways. The essence of life in the spotlight. However, they are also aware that every obstacle serves as a chance to reinforce their beliefs, values, and love for their kids. The relocation represents a turning point in their path, rather than a scandal. It represents development, resiliency, and the readiness to accept change in order to further what is most important. Adam and Danielle have often stated that their narrative is about perseverance rather than perfection. Despite the world's misunderstandings, they keep up their daily presence for their kids. When the dust. The Busbys continue to live their exceptional life, embracing the everyday routines that come with settling into their new home. There are still soccer practices to oversee, school functions to attend, lunches to pack, and prayers to say before bed. Life carries on as usual. Their family's heart is still the same, even though the walls surrounding them have altered. Maybe that's the true lesson for supporters. That although houses, seasons, and criticism may change, love never dies. Regarding Adam and Danielle Busby, the only real indicator of success is their unwavering love for 6 girls.